Hello, I'm Christian from Vision 6D, and I'm going with you today to look into the basics of MS Project. As you can see, I'm here in the back office. I'm in the part which is called Info. Info, you will see that you can manage your accounts and you get here some information about the project. One that is important is when the start date is and what is the finish date of the project. Another point that is also important is the calendar on which you are going to work, which is here defined as the standard. The standard means that you're working from 8 to 5 in the afternoon and that you don't work over weekends. Another point that I want to have you see is here the account. What is important is that you might have a version that is slightly different than mine, since there are versions on the desktop as is mine and versions on Microsoft Online. So you see here, I'm part of the Insider program and my current version is the 1901. In the back office part, we can open files that we have. You see that I have quite a lot of files. You can browse your hard drive. What I want to do now is to open a new file. So for this, you have different templates here, but I will start with the blank project. In this part, I will enter tasks. Here I will have different graphics. Here up, I have the ribbon, and within the ribbon, I can define task. I can go to resources, reports, projects, and views. And here I can format different things. In the middle, you find here what is called the timeline. The timeline is something really interesting to give an overview of your project and is one point that you can use to do presentations also of your project. Before to go any further, I will go back to the back office and there are some options that I want you to be aware of. Within the Schedule 1, you see that you have important points. You see here that week starts on Sunday. For me, the week starts on Monday. So you can choose, you can change this. Another point which is here, it's, as I was saying, the working time, it's from 8 in the morning to 5 p.m. And the number of hours per day are 8, or hours per week are 40. And you see that we have 20 days a month. You might prefer to have this reduced here to 7 hours, and here down you might have it reduced to, let's say, 35. So these are options that you can change. What is really important to know, it's that you must change those options before to go any further in the project. It will be really, really difficult to change them later on. It will bring you a lot of trouble. There is another point I would like you to see. It's about the currency. Here the currency is defined as Swiss francs, and you might prefer it as US dollar or any other local currency you are using, or euros, as I will do here for that basic training. So now we are ready to enter some tasks. The first task that I want to enter, it's a project name. It's my project. In a project, we enter into a phase which is called initiation. In the initiation phase, I do the project proposal. It's the time when I'm wondering what I want to do in the project, how much it's going to cost, whether it's doable or not. Once I have the project proposal, what I need to have is to have the project approval. Once the project is approved, the budget is approved, then I can start to plan. And to plan, I will do what is called macro planning, as well as a detailed planning. Now I'm ready to enter in a phase which we call execution, or realization, or even integration. In that part, it's where most of the work of the project will be done. So we usually start with what we call concept, and into concept it's when we do what we call the design. The design of a house, the design of renovation, you decide your new kitchen, how you want to do it, or you are building software, so it's then that you define the architecture of the software. So after that, we can enter into the development, or in case of a house or buildings, it's the part that we call the build. After this, we'll have some integration work, and we have then tests or a validation task. We see that we are going down into the tasks, and I have some more to add. I would like to remove the timeline. So for this, I go into View, and you see here that you can tick away the timeline, which I will do. Like that, we have now more space. We are now ready to deliver the project, or deliver the service, or deliver the good, or deliver the product. At the end of a project, it's good to have what we call closing. Closing is a time when you summarize what happened in the project in order to improve what you do in the next project. As you can see, we have defined tasks that are relevant to almost all kinds of projects. So nevertheless, here I have my project, which entails all the other tasks. So I will show this in one way, where there is a dependency of all those tasks to my project. For this, I select all those tasks, I go into tasks, and here you see I have an indentation tool, which I will do. So you see that my project is now composed of all those tasks. Some of the tasks are also composing some other tasks. So, for example, initiation is composed of project proposal and project approval. So I will once again ident them by one step, shifted on the right. The plan itself is also composed of macro planning and then later on detailed planning. So I'll do the same. And you guess already that execution is composed of all those steps here, including delivery. So I will also shift them right. And here, closing, I will add a closing meeting, which is of course one of the steps of the closing. As you can see, I have now here a summary task of the project, which is composed of 4 different summary tasks. In order to be complete, I will also here ident the design, which is part of concept. I will now add some durations to those tasks. For the project proposal, preparation will be 2 weeks. Project approval is 0 day. It's just the decision whether to go or not to go onto that project. Macro planning, I reduce it to 1 day. And the detailed planning, I will put it to 4 days. The design will be done in 3 weeks. The development and build will be done in 4 weeks. Integration will do it into 2 weeks, and test and validation will give also 2 weeks to this. Once all this is done, we are left with delivering, and this will be 0 day. Here down, the closing meeting is a meeting, so I will set it also to 0 day. As you can see, while I was keying in those numbers, you have here clear blue, emerald blue bars that came. They are representing the duration of the work, and the ones which are 0 day, like project approval, which is taking a decision, they are represented by a diamond and simply a date. This is what we call a milestone. So now I want to give some sequence into those tasks. So I will select that one and this one here, which are sequential, meaning that one is performed after the other one. So you see here I have this to be defined. So you see the first task and then an arrow here showing that after this comes the project approval. I will do the same here down for those two tasks which are part of the plan phase, and as well for all those tasks here down. So now we see that all the tasks are one after the other one. I would like to see more of the graphic, and for this I go into View, and here you see we can click on Entire Project. Like that I can see, and the size are fitting what I have here as a screen at my disposal. One thing that you see, it's here the closing. I could go and say, okay, I want it to be sequential, but sequential to what? This is the question. So I can't really act it like that. So for that, you will see here that I have an additional column, and that while we were performing the task of adding sequential tasks, in fact, it added automatically the number of the predecessor. So what we have to do here is to say the predecessor of this is the number 14. It's once it is delivered that we can add it. So you can key in 14, or you can go and look for the task 14. And you see here a really nice representation with the dependencies of the tasks. So I say 14 deliver, and I pass here. And now once again I go into the view, I want the entire project, and you see here that now we can say when is this project going to be delivered. You see we have blue bars, but you have also those black ones here. These are appearing since we have summary tasks. They summarize the two tasks that compose that one. So in our project, some parts are still not really sequential, and for this you see that we should have the planning happen after the project approval. For that, I'm coming here on the project planning, and I can do the same. Go and look for the predecessor, and I can say predecessor is the project approval. You see here, it's a bit strange how it happens. We'll come back to this later on. The same thing here, we have the plan and execution. And you see that execution should normally follow the detailed planning. So for that, I'm going here. I could go to predecessors, but I'm going to show it to you in a different way. You double click on the task, and you get to the information of the task. You have here general information for that task, and here you have predecessors. So I will go into this. We will say that the predecessor is the task number 7. We key it in here. We say OK, and Microsoft Project directly went and took the name of the project. So we can say OK. And you see here we have all those fancy things with arrows and no displacement of those tasks. So one thing I need to tell you now is that here you see we have a mode, as well as here down we have a mode. The mode says the following. When we are set with that kind of arrow in clear blue, we are manually scheduling the tasks. So it means that we can position them where we want them. And this is the reason why we have those arrows here and those strange situations. So we are going to move those tasks to automatically schedule tasks. I will do the same for all the following tasks, and you will see what happens. With that, we have a better shape of our project. Be aware of the difference. It's easier to work with auto-scheduled. So now our project, we would like to see it completely. I showed you one way to do this, and here down you can easily come and zoom into your project by saying that you want to see more or less of the project. So our project is well scheduled now. In case that for any reason you would like to pass something back to manually scheduled, you can simply go and do it. You see here the difference is that the color is going back to that emerald instead of that sky blue we have here. Now, what if I want to move my project to another date? Because here it's starting the 25th more or less of January, and I might wish to have it start at another date. So I go into project here, and you see that we have here the possibility to move our project. So we'll choose one date that is more accurate. Let's say that we want it to start in March, and it could be good to start the 4th of March. We come here and we say, okay. And the complete project has now moved with the start date here of the 4th of March. To see that kind of information about the project, you can go here into project information, and you see that the start date now is the 4th of March. We see now that the end date of the project is the 28th of May. To go further in this project, we'll go back to tasks. And we need to have some resources to work into this project. So here down, you can choose other views. And I will go and select the resource sheet. Where you see is a table where we have resource names. And I can simply key in resources. And the first one is the project manager. I will need into this project to prepare the project proposal. It will be approved by the stakeholder. The stakeholder is your boss, is the department manager, is the one financing the project. It can also be a customer, the stakeholder, and it can be yourself if it's a personal project like redoing your kitchen at home. Otherwise, we will need engineers. So I put engineer 1 and I will put engineer 2. And for the tests, we'll simply say we need test user 1. You see here for each resource is defined here an hourly rate. For the moment, we are not going to dig into this. It will come for the costs. So we have all those resources. So now we can go back to the Gantt chart. And here I have all of my tasks. So for that, I need an additional column, which is here, which is the resource name. If I go into the resources, I have a drop-down menu where I can select the person. So I will say the project proposal will be made by the project manager 1, and maybe he will take an engineer with him. So these are the resources, and you see that immediately here on the Gantt chart, we see the resources allocated or affected to that task. Project approval, it will be easy. We just defined what is a stakeholder. So it's the stakeholder that will be part, and I will now for the planning. For the macro planning, I set the project manager. For the detailed planning, I've defined engineer 1 to work with the project manager. For the design, I will say that it's good that the team works together and the 2 engineers work together. Integration, it will be the same. And for the test and validation, it will be the engineers as well as a test user. Delivery, nobody is really working on this. And closing meeting, this is really interesting. I think it's always good when you have all the people that were part of the team to join that closing meeting. So with this, we see now when we go again into view and see the entire project that everything has been completed, that there is one task where I forgot to put engineer 1 and engineer 2. This is now corrected, and you see that on all the project we have the resources that are defined. So now we are going back to the resource sheet, and we are going to look into the standard hourly rate. So for the stakeholder, I make it really simple. I'll say 200. For the project manager, I'll put 150. And then for the 3 others, I'll put 100. Like that, now we have defined an hourly rate for all our resources, and we go back to the Gantt chart. For the moment, nothing has changed. What I need to do is to add here an additional column. The column I'm going to add is the column for costs. I take it here, costs, and you see that almost like a miracle, you have a complete calculation of the costs of the project. So at that level, I can say that my project is going to cost me 109,550 euros or US dollars, depending on your currency. You see that each summary task is composed of the cost of its different tasks. If I take here down the macro planning, I can say that it costs 1,050 euros to do the macro planning. The detailed planning, which will involve 2 resources, will cost 7,000. The complete step of planning in this project is estimated to a cost of 8,050 euros at this point. You can go down here to execution realization, where you will see that the complete cost of this phase is 84,000. So you see that most of the spending in the project will be done in the execution, which is right. It's when you involve the most resources. So you will see that for each task, if I take the test also has its cost. It's at 21,000 euros. You can now sum up all those different costs, and you see that you get to the 84,000 euros cost for the step, which is execution and realization. You see that all summary tasks, they are also summarizing the costs of all the involved tasks in their phase. Hey, good news! At that level, we can already benefit from the work we've done. So we go into report, and here we have dashboards, and we'll see the costs overview. And you see here, we already have a report that is showing the complete cost of the project, which are those 109,550 euros. And here is the spending that you will do, how you will have to do it with that project. Another report that is interesting to see, it's here if we go to the dashboard and we look at the work overview. We see here how many hours will be involved in the project. You see 1,043 hours of work will be involved in the project, and you see here how it goes down. If now I look below, I see here how many hours each resource is going to be used in the project. I have here the remaining availability of the resources. So now you're ready to go. Your project is ready, and we are going to take a picture of how the project is going to happen. This is going to be our reference, and this reference is what we call a baseline. So for this, we go into project, and you see here set baseline. So we will set the baseline here. It's simple. You simply leave it as it is, and you say, okay. and nothing has changed. So to see the baseline, we go here, show hide bar style, and we go down here into baseline. We choose the last saved baseline. You see here that gray bars have appeared here below. They are showing you how the project will happen. It will stay this for this baseline. So let's now admit that we moved ahead, the project has started, we worked on it, and now we are going to do the tracking of the project. So for this, I will select the task and will say that the project proposal has been done. So to do this, I will go here and say that it is 100% complete, and I mark it as complete. The project approval here has also been completed, so I will also say it's 100%. So you see that at the same time we have darker bars that have come through the task. This is showing the completion level of a certain task. I go now into the planning, and the planning I will do it in a different way. I double click on the task, and you see here we have general. Here below we have % complete. So we'll admit that this was done at 100%. So I can key in 100%. If you think that it's only 60%, then it's the right place to go and to set this. For me, I leave it as such. So it's this, and I will also say here that the detailed planning has been completed at 100%. While we were completing the tracking, you see here in this column information, all tasks that are complete are ticked. Now we are going to look at another chart. So I go here, and we are going to take what is called the tracking Gantt. And you see we have quite changes here. We have the blue bars, we have the gray ones, which are the reference, and we have now here new ones, which are dark red. This is saying that this is what we have accomplished in this project, and the remaining is here in a lighter pink. The pink color is showing with the red color what is on the critical path. I have another video on critical path if you want to learn more on this subject. So now let's go to the design, and let's say that, well, it took delays, and instead of being 3 weeks, it will move up to 4 weeks. And we see here on the diagram that immediately it was postponed and delayed. So all the tasks have been shifted, and even the delivery dates are now repositioned. And you see here we can see the older delivery days, and with the gray bars we still keep the information of how the project was planned. You can also notice that as soon as I change the duration of the design task, the 50% went down to 38%. This was automatically calculated by MS Project. So I think that with this, you now had an introduction and the basics on how to use MS Project. You are able to establish a plan. You are able to give a reference, a baseline, and then you are able to do the tracking of the project. I hope that you appreciated it, and if you have suggestions, comments, please feel free. You can thumb up to like the video, you can share it, and there will be additional ones in which you can dig deeper on additional subjects for helping you improve with MS Project. Hope this was fine for you. I'm happy to stay here, and I wish you a good time and see you soon. Bye-bye.